Hello, and welcome to Moon Whisper Sleep, where science touches slumber and the universe becomes a lullaby of light. Perhaps today has been a long day, or maybe you simply wish to let your mind drift softly into the night, among distant planets, silent moons, and the fragile sound of a universe that's quietly breathing. Wherever you come from, however weary your thoughts may be, tonight, this journey is for you. Let your breath slow down. Let your thoughts dissolve like stardust in the air, and let your body grow lighter, as though gravity has loosened its gentle hand, and you begin to float softly through the ocean of space. Tonight's journey. Tonight, we will travel together through the far future of Earth, where time is no longer measured in days or years, but in the heartbeat of stars. We will witness the grand cycles, when the continents merge into one colossal mass, when the oceans boil, and when the sun grows old, unfolding like a flower of fire, embracing the entire planet in its final burning arms. But don't be afraid, for this is not a story of destruction, but a symphony of continuation. Every time life fades, its atoms are reborn in the light of newborn stars, and in the memory the universe keeps whispering. Let me guide you through stardust, through ice ages and deserts, across red oceans, heavy with salt, and until Earth itself turns to light. We'll understand that an ending is only another form of beginning. Tonight, we'll also travel back through time, to when Earth was still a child, born from the dust of dying stars. Back then, the universe was young. The sun had just been born, a blazing lamp in the darkness. Around it, countless particles of dust floated, colliding, melting, merging. Each tiny grain, under the invisible hand of gravity, began to cling together. And from that, Earth was born. But this planet was not gentle as it is now. It was a fiery inferno, hotter than molten steel, where meteor storms rained down like showers of stars. The sky was not blue then. It was dark red, thick with poisonous vapors. There were no oceans, no clouds, only molten iron and toxic gases swirling in the air. And then, amid the chaos, a miracle occurred. As the temperature slowly fell, water vapor condensed, and rain began to fall endlessly for thousands of years. Each drop struck the cooling ground, and together they formed the first oceans. The sea was black then, like liquid glass. Lightning split the sky, and flashes of energy fused with molecules in the water, creating the first organic compounds, amino acids, sugars, and primitive RNA. No one would call it life, but there, in the darkness of the ocean, life learned how to copy itself. The first living beings, tiny single-celled forms, hid within the cracks deep under the sea, where hydrothermal vents breathed warmth into the abyss. They needed no sunlight, only heat and chemistry. And from there, life opened its eyes. At first, Earth's atmosphere was filled with methane, ammonia, and vapor. There was no oxygen, no blue sky, only sunlight filtering through a toxic haze. Then, a small group of beings appeared, cyanobacteria, and they did something unthinkable. They learned photosynthesis. They absorbed sunlight and released oxygen. Oxygen spread through the oceans and slowly filled the sky. The heavens turned blue, the seas shimmered green. For the first time in history, Earth began to breathe. Billions of years passed. Single cells merged into multicellular life. Creatures crawled onto land. Plants grew roots. Forests spread. The air became cleaner, and the planet wore its first cloak of living green. Earth had awakened, no longer a drifting rock in space, but a living body, with breath, with memory, and with the first faint awareness of itself. From the ashes of dead stars to the first creatures that learned to breathe, every step of that journey is a note in the grand symphony of the universe. And tonight, we'll listen to that symphony, from the moment Earth was born to the day it will rest in the arms of the Sunday. But don't be afraid, for every ending in the universe is only a return, a cycle, a breath, a shimmer of light, repeating forever. Each breath you take is a small rhythm within that cosmic symphony, the same melody Earth and the stars have played together for billions of years. If you feel your heart calming now, if this stillness brings a quiet smile to your lips, press subscribe and ring the little bell beside it, so that each night, when the universe calls softly, Moon Whisper Sleep can find its way back to you, through gentle whispers and through the quiet light of knowledge. And perhaps your gentle touch, your single heartbeat, will become a tiny signal, drifting through space, helping someone, somewhere, in the middle of the night. Find this place, a place to rest, a place to learn, and a place to be lulled to sleep, one soul at a time, by the universe itself. Now, take a deep breath, release everything still clinging from your day, and let your eyes close. Because from this moment on, the universe will begin to tell its own story, through the breath of the earth and through the whispering voice of Moon Whisper Sleep. Imagine you are drifting through the emptiness of space, where only darkness, heat, and stardust exist. In that endless silence, a spark of light ignites. That is the sun, a young star just awakening, born from the dusty cloud of ancient stars that exploded billions of years ago. Around it, billions of particles began to swirl, colliding, melting, then merging. Each tiny, invisible grain of dust was pulled together by gravity. And within that chaos, the Earth slowly took shape. Not the blue planet you know today, but a blazing sphere of fire, hotter than lava. Temperatures soared beyond 2,000 degrees Celsius. Meteor storms rained without end, and the sky held no hint of blue, only molten iron and toxic gas. But within that inferno, a miracle began. The dead stars had left behind hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, iron, and gold, all mixing within the boiling crust. As Earth cooled, water vapor rose, condensed, and fell as rain unending for thousands of years, until finally the first ocean was born. Picture it, the sea then, black as liquid glass, lightning and heat from the Earth's core, forged the first organic molecules, amino acids, sugars, and primitive RNA chains. No one called it life, but there, within the ocean of thunder and storm, life began to learn how to copy itself. The first living beings, microscopic, single-celled organisms, hid within the cracks of the ocean floor, where hydrothermal vents still breathe warmth even today. Back then, Earth's atmosphere was thick with methane, ammonia, and vapor. No oxygen, no clouds, no color of blue, only the faint breath of a young planet learning to balance itself. Then, one day in silence, a small group of tiny organisms invented photosynthesis. They absorbed sunlight and released oxygen, the very gas that would one day become the foundation of all conscious life. The sky grew brighter. The seas turned turquoise and green. The earth began to breathe, and from that moment on, it was no longer an inert rock. It had awakened. Through the billions of years that followed, life evolved. Single cells merged into multicellular beings. Creatures crawled onto land. Plants grew roots. Forests spread. The atmosphere filled with oxygen, and Earth draped itself in the first green of life ever seen in the universe. Imagine you're watching the Earth, not as it is today, but as it was 4.5 billion years ago. No blue oceans, no white clouds, only a fiery sphere slowly cooling amid the chaos of space. Around it, unending meteor storms, each impact an explosion, brighter than any bomb humankind would ever know. The ground burned, rivers of magma flowed, but within that inferno, the first droplets of water began to form. Steam rose from the magma, condensed into rain. The rain fell, boiled, then fell again for millions of years, until at last, the entire planet was covered by a primordial ocean. As you listen, imagine each droplet, each molecule of oxygen and hydrogen, singing the song of life. In the deep, dark seas, where no light could reach, the first carbon molecules found one another, replicating, sustaining, and forming the world's first DNA chain. The Earth at that moment was like a dream, learning how to breathe. The atmosphere thickened gradually. The sun climbed higher, its first rays piercing through vapor, creating the first dawn in the planet's history. Then time flowed on. 1 billion years, then 2, then 3. The blue oceans began to exhale oxygen, turning the poisonous air pure. Plants awakened, and from tiny algae to vast forests, the Earth, for the first time, wore the living color of green. If you listen in stillness, feel this. Every breath you take is oxygen once made by ancient trees, hundreds of millions of years ago. Every atom in your body was once part of a volcano, an ocean, a cloud, and a star. All of it flows together into one current. Evolution, a journey spanning 4.5 billion years, that has led, at last, to you, the one hearing this voice now. But as with everything in the universe, every beginning carries within it the seed of its own ending. Beneath its crust, Earth's iron core still spins, a molten heart that never sleeps. It has been beating for 4.5 billion years, and one day, when it cools, that heartbeat will slow and stop. Science calls this entropy, the increase of disorder, the silent, irreversible law of time. Tonight, as you drift within this sound, think of Earth as a living being that has lived, has loved, has created life. And one day, will dissolve back into the cosmos, because every ending is simply the way the universe finds its way home again. More than 4 billion years have passed since Earth was formed. Life now fills the oceans, the jungles, the plains, and even the giant creatures that once ruled the planet, the dinosaurs. They were children of time who survived every change, believing Earth would forever be their immortal home. But the universe is not as quiet as we imagine. Out there, in the cold orbits of space, a metallic rock nearly 10 kilometers wide, weighing billions of tons, was speeding through the void. At over 70,000 kilometers per hour, it had no mind, no hatred, yet carried within it the energy of millions of nuclear bombs. When it struck Earth's atmosphere, no one could comprehend what was happening. A flash brighter than the sun erupted. In that instant, the sky turned to fire. The impact released energy, 1 billion times stronger than the blast of Hiroshima. Everything within thousands of kilometers vaporized instantly. Molten rock and metal were thrown into the air, falling back as a deadly rain of fire. The earth trembled. Earthquakes, hundreds of times stronger than any known to humankind, tore through the crust. Tsunamis hundreds of meters high swept across continents. The sky darkened. Within days, dust and ash blotted out the sun, plunging the planet into a global winter. Temperatures dropped by tens of degrees. Plants died en masse. Animals could not find food. The world sank into a cold, silent darkness that lasted more than a year. But within those ashes, something worse happened. 85% of the ozone layer was destroyed. Without that protective shield, ultraviolet rays from the sun struck the surface unfiltered, scorching every living cell. The remaining creatures, birds, reptiles, insects, suffered DNA damage, blindness, and slow extinction in silence. When the sky finally cleared, 70% of Earth's life had vanished. The survivors were not the strongest, but those who could hide, hibernate, and wait. That is how mammals, our distant ancestors, endured the apocalypse. If you look up at the sky tonight, know this: hundreds of thousands of asteroids still drift between Mars and Jupiter, remnants of creation kept in an endless dance by the sun and gravity. No one knows when that dance will misstep. It could be tomorrow, or 100 million years from now. Science knows only one thing. It is not a question of if, but when. And when that moment comes, the sky will once again blaze with fire, and Earth will remember that within every life lies a gentle reminder of death, so that new life can begin again. After tens of millions of years of calm, Earth began to change once more. No explosions, no wrath from the heavens, just a small shift in orbit, and the entire planet began to slip slowly into its frozen sleep. For humans, a year is long, but for Earth, a Milankovitch cycle, the oscillation of tilt, eccentricity, and axial wobble, spans tens of thousands of years. It is the planet's long breath. One inhale, the Earth warms. One exhale, the Earth freezes. When scientists drill into the ocean floor, they uncover ancient layers of sediment, stacked like the pages of the planet's diary. Each layer of rock, each grain of dust, holds traces of climates long past. Iron oxide crystals, pollen spores, and rocks carried from the north by glaciers then dropped to the seabed as the ice melted. From these clues, they learned Earth has frozen over many times. Fossils of mammoths found in warm regions like California, ancient glacial scars carved deep into the ground, all tell the same story. There was once a time when even California's sun was not enough to melt the ice. Every 100,000 years or so, Earth's orbit around the sun shifts from an almost perfect circle to a slightly stretched ellipse. Sometimes, its axis tilts by just 1 or 2 degrees, but like a door opening slightly, less sunlight reaches the poles, and snow begins to linger through summer. The white snow reflects sunlight, cooling the planet further. As temperatures drop, the snow refuses to melt. The feedback continues, and ice spreads outward like a pale breath, covering the north. At first, it's only thin sheets over Greenland, but centuries later, they expand, slowly, yet relentlessly, reaching down into Canada, northern Europe, blanketing the UK, Germany, and the northern half of the United States. Imagine standing in the middle of London's square, but instead of buildings, before you rises a wall of white ice, thousands of meters high, so tall it hides the Sunday. Beneath that ice lie cities, people, memories, all compressed in silence. The global temperature drops more than 10 degrees Celsius. The seas retreat nearly 120 meters, exposing land bridges between continents. What is now the South China Sea was once dry, plain, and ancient humans walked from Asia to the Americas. Earth becomes a crystal sphere, a frozen jewel drifting through the cosmos. Winds sweep across the icy continents, their low hum echoing like the breath of a sleeping planet. The sky turns clear, and sunlight glints on billions of ice crystals, making the world shimmer in pale silver. If it happens again, and it will, civilization will face its greatest trial. Within the next 30,000 years, Milankovitch cycles predict Earth will enter another ice age. And when it comes, great cities like London, New York, and Moscow will sleep beneath kilometers of ice. Fertile lands of the northern hemisphere will vanish. Food will run scarce, oceans will freeze, and humanity will be forced to migrate toward the equator, to the last warm belt of Earth. But when billions move toward those narrow strips of land, life will not only be threatened by climate, but by humankind itself. Resources will vanish. Wars will no longer be fought for power, but for a bowl of warm water, a patch of ground, a breath of air. The brilliant civilizations that once rose from river deltas will be erased from maps. Skyscrapers will crumble beneath the weight of ice. And as everything collapses, humans will return to their most primal instincts, to hunt, to shelter, to light fires, and survive the night. From space, you would see a blue-white planet glowing in the dark, breathtakingly beautiful. No gunfire, no cities, only rivers of ice moving slowly, like the planet's quiet breath. Beneath that frozen surface, life remains, sleeping in roots, in seeds, in the warm underground rivers that still flow. The Earth is not dead. It is merely resting, finding its rhythm again. Because each time the ice melts, forests grow back, the seas rise, and the planet awakens. After a slumber that lasted hundreds of thousands of years, an ice age is not only a catastrophe, it is the resting beat in the symphony of time. Earth teaches us that even within cold and darkness, there is still rebirth waiting behind it. And perhaps, tonight when you close your eyes, listening as this misty sound drifts by, you are hearing the planet's own slow breath, the rhythm of an ancient heart still beating, even if ice were to cover the sky. When the Earth awakens in flame, after hundreds of thousands of years sleeping in ice, Earth begins to stir. Warm, underground currents rise, glaciers melt, and the ground groans with a low, muted sound, like a giant awakening from a long sleep. But this awakening is not gentle. It is a movement deep within the planet's very flesh, where the tectonic plates, Earth's colossal foundational blocks, begin to shift, rotate, and collide. Beneath the soil where we stand, there is not stillness, but an endless dance of continents. Continental slabs, tens of kilometers thick, drift slowly, like vast icebergs, across an ocean of magma. Their speed is only a few centimeters per year, but in the world of geology, a few centimeters is an eternal symphony. Science calls this process plate tectonics, one of the two greatest discoveries of the 20th century. Alongside the theory of evolution, it tells us that Earth's surface is not a single solid block, but many gigantic plates floating on the molten rock of the mantle. Those plates collide, split apart, sink beneath one another, and with each collision, the planet redraws its own shape. It was this very process that created the Himalayas, opened the Atlantic Ocean, and it is this process that is writing the next 250 million years. According to geophysicists' simulations, the continents will continue migrating toward each other. Africa will drift northward, pressing into Europe. Australia will move toward Eurasia. South America will collide with North America. And Antarctica, after hundreds of millions of years in solitude, will drift north and join the rest. When that happens, a new supercontinent will be born, known by the provisional name Pangaea Ultima, the last Pangaea, 250 million years in the future. From space, the Earth then will look entirely different, a colossal landmass, taking up nearly half the surface, surrounded by an immense superocean. No more familiar continental outlines, no more curving shores, everything united into a single realm, dry, vast, and mute. At the heart of that supercontinent, the sea lies too far away, and humid winds cannot bring rain in. The air is dry, the sun scorching. Average daytime temperatures may reach 50 grad Celsius. Regions far from the sea will become giant deserts, where sand stretches to the horizon and the sky is ever hazed by fine volcanic dust. No more green forests, no more rivers, only rock, wind, and heat, a world where rain has disappeared. Climatologists predict that 80% of species then will not be able to adapt. Plants will die out for lack of water. Animals will go extinct for lack of food. And only the smallest beings, hidden in darkness or capable of living on heat, like scorpions earthworms, or extremophile fungi will continue to endure. But the unification is not yet over. Pressure between continental plates builds. Heat in the Earth's interior increases. And then, the first fissure appears. From deep below, magma begins to rise. At first, only faint red streaks, then turning into colossal streams of lava, spreading across hundreds, thousands of kilometers. Chains of volcanoes appear everywhere, erupting for millions of years, sending CO2, methane, and sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. The amount of CO2 in the air increases to 10 times today's level. The Earth, already hot, now becomes a giant furnace. Successive eruptions stain the sky red. Ash veils the sun, then settles, then rises again. A sequence of extreme climatic swings. Some places cool in the ash haze, others grow so hot that rock melts. This is the most chaotic epoch in the planet's history. Volcanoes roaring like Earth's arrhythmic heartbeats. Each eruption is a single beat, and with every beat, the planet seems to be trying to tear itself apart. But the tragedy does not end there. Vast amounts of CO2 dissolve into seawater, forming carbonic acid, driving ocean pH sharply downward. The seas become so acidic that hard-shelled creatures like brachiopods, corals, and mollusks can no longer build calcium shells. Their shells disintegrate, and their fragile bodies dissolve in the water. As the small creatures die, the food chain collapses from the bottom up. Fish, marine mammals, corals all disappear. The oceans turn empty, black, and silent, as a tomb, paleontologists believe. Something similar happened 250 million years ago, during the so-called Permian mass extinction, when 96% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial species were wiped out. Now, that will happen again, in a sixth mass extinction, brought about not by an asteroid, but by the planet's own heartbeat. If you could stand upon that supercontinent, you would see colossal columns of smoke rising from thousands of volcanic mouths. The air would be thick with ash. Sunlight would burn a copper red as it scatters through the dusty haze, turning the sky the color of scorched bronze. Each evening, the setting sun would not be round, but blurred, as if melting. At night, the ground would glow in the dark, lava streams running like the planet's veins. And if you placed your hand upon the Earth, you could feel a deep vibration, like the heartbeat inside the chest of a living being made of rock and fire. That is the Earth, not dead, only shedding its skin. In this blazing world, only a few species would remain adapted. They would be extremophiles, creatures of the extreme, able to live at 100 degrees Celsius, feeding on sulfur, dwelling in lava, and existing without oxygen. On the surface, perhaps only a few cold-blooded reptiles would persist, hiding beneath the sand, or active only at night. Plants would vanish almost entirely, save for drought-tolerant species, with CAM photosynthesis, able to hold water within every cell. This is Earth, after 250 million years. A world of fire, dust, and the hardiest forms of life. Seen from far space, the supercontinent Pangaea Ultima would look like a vast red scorch mark upon the planet's face. Yet on the scale of the cosmos, even catastrophe is only a single breath. Then one day, after tens of millions of years, the fires will fade, the plates will crack again, the supercontinent will break apart, and new continents will be born. The tectonic cycle beginning anew. Just as old cells die to make way for new, Earth, with each act of self-destruction, is reborn with greater vigor. From volcanic ash, the elements necessary for life, carbon, iron, phosphorus, are sown back into the ocean, beginning a new era of evolution. Perhaps the deepest lesson of this sixth mass extinction is that destruction and creation are not separate at all. Fire destroys the old forest, but it is also where seeds germinate. Volcanoes burn away continents, yet they are the very midwives of new land. The universe, in its deepest nature, always moves in cycles of loss, then birth, of silence, then eruption, of decay, then renewal. If you are hearing these words, know this: even when everything seems to be collapsing, that is merely how nature makes room for a new form of life to be born. And now, take a deep breath. Feel the warmth in your palms. It is the very same source of energy, coursing through the planet's core. The Earth and you both carry the rhythm of ancient fire within. When the planet breathes, you are breathing too. When the planet changes, you are also being reborn. For every flame, no matter how much it devours, will one day burn out and leave behind the gentle light of dawn. Close your eyes and imagine you are looking at Earth from very far away. So far that the planet is only a small blue dot in the endless black. That point of light has been breathing for 4.5 billion years, has changed, has lived, has dreamed, and now a new chapter is opening, slowly, quietly, yet irreversible. The sun, our mother star, is growing old. Every star has its own lifespan. For the sun, its average lifetime is about 10 billion years. At present, it is in the middle of its life, a middle-aged star burning steadily. But the process of fusing hydrogen to create energy is slowly transforming its core. As the hydrogen within runs out, helium begins to build up, and to maintain balance, the sun must accelerate its burning. That makes the amount of energy it radiates gradually increase, not by much, only about 10% every billion years. But on the scale of the universe, that 10% is enough to ignite a planet. Every ray of light, every photon becomes stronger, denser, and each morning, Earth grows slightly hotter. The change happens so slowly that no one feels it. Yet it is happening. Every second, every minute. About 1 billion years from now, the sun will shine 10% brighter than it does today. It may seem small, but that difference alone is enough to push Earth beyond the habitable zone around its star. The average temperature will rise above 50 degrees Celsius. The oceans will evaporate faster than ever before. The air will grow so dry that water vapor can no longer exist. The last clouds will disappear, the sky will turn transparent, and sunlight will pour straight down, so intense that it scorches every shade of green. Plants will begin to wither, not from heat, but from hunger. In that blazing world, natural chemical reactions occur faster. Silicate rocks on the surface react with atmospheric CO2, absorbing the greenhouse gas and washing it into the ocean depths, forming carbonate sediment. The hotter it gets, the faster the reaction. And in a paradox, the very heat that scorches the planet also draws CO2 out of the air. Eventually, CO2 concentration will fall to just 10 parts per million, too low for plants to photosynthesize. Once photosynthesis stops, oxygen is no longer renewed. The first forests destanding, their leaves turning to dust, and Earth loses its final green. The Amazon, the Tiger, the Serengeti plains, all turn to ash. Winds carry leaf dust across the spreading deserts, stretching endlessly to the horizon. No more shade, no more forests, no more fresh oxygen. The atmosphere thins, heavy with the scent of ash and iron. In this age, Earth is a barren planet. The oceans retreat, rivers vanish, and the entire surface is covered by desert and heated rock. When the sun rises, surface temperatures may reach 70 degrees Celsius, so hot that asphalt would melt and soft metals would deform in a single day. There is no rain, no storms, only winds carrying the breath of hell. By day, no creature can move. By night, when temperatures fall below 40 degrees Celsius, a few survivors crawl silently from their burrows. They are creatures of extreme heat: scorpions, spiders, snakes, and a few ancient reptiles. They live by night, avoiding the light, drinking only the dew that forms on stone. Their bodies are designed to keep every drop of water, with thick skin, armored scales, and eyes adapted to perfect darkness. They are the planet's final inheritors. Humans, if they still exist somewhere in the cosmos, will only look back on their old home through telescopes and know, quietly, that Earth, the once lush blue world, is now a smoldering desert, adrift in the void. When plants disappear, the food chain collapses from its roots. Herbivores and carnivores follow. Creatures that depended on microbes lose their environment too. Only extremophile bacteria, tiny beings that thrive in heat and salt, continue to multiply in the dark beneath the ground. They have no lungs, need no oxygen, and feed on what other life calls poison: sulfur, iron, methane. When humankind is gone, when forests have turned to dust, these tiny forms will still live on, the last memory of life on Earth. Meanwhile, the sun keeps expanding. Each million years, it swells a little more, brighter, hotter, heavier. Its diameter increases by tens of thousands of kilometers, its surface drawing ever closer to Earth. If you could see from space, you would witness Earth drifting slowly into fire. The atmosphere boils, rocks melt into glass, and once mighty mountains flow like candle wax. Each ray of sunlight now carries destructive energy. Ozone vanishes, ultraviolet light pierces straight to the ground. Regions once cold as the Arctic now blaze red, and the last water on the planet evaporates, turning Earth into a global desert world. No more vapor. Earth grows so dry that rain can no longer form. The oceans, once thousands of meters deep, are now nothing but salt crust and cracked earth. The sight is strange, sunlight still radiant, but with nothing left to reflect it. No seas, no clouds, only light striking the hot sand itself. The atmosphere grows thin, pressure drops, oxygen dwindles to a faint trace. Enough for a few chemical reactions, but not enough for any breath. If anyone were alive to see it, they would see a blinding white sky, and the sun larger, fiercer, a massive torch consuming its own home. Astronomers calculate that when the sun reaches 6.5 billion years of age, it will shine 30% brighter, and Earth will no longer be able to sustain life on its surface. Hundreds of millions of years before that, the average temperature will have exceeded 50 degrees Celsius, and the vapor pressure of the atmosphere will cause water to evaporate permanently. The natural CO2 absorption cycle will make all plant life die off, and oxygen will vanish from the air within a few 100 million years. From that point, Earth will officially enter an era of absolute desiccation. All cycles of water, air, and biology will stop. No rain, no wind, only heat, rock, and light. But if you listen deeply, this is not merely the death of a planet, but a return to stillness. As life retreats, as the last vapor fades, Earth returns to its most primordial form, a sphere of minerals, light, and memory. In that silence, there is no pain, no fear, only the gentle acceptance of nature. Perhaps, at this very moment, Earth is doing what the sun once taught it in its youth, to shine until the very last moment. Take a deep breath, for it is not only you who is breathing. The sun is breathing with you through every photon, every rhythm of light, traveling from that star to your skin. 1 billion years from now, this light will still exist, but the world receiving it will no longer be Earth. Perhaps another planet, another form of life, another pair of eyes will look up and wonder, was there ever someone here before us? And then, the answer will still echo through space. Yes, it was Earth, a planet that lived, that loved, that dreamed, and dissolved into the very light it once helped create. Imagine a morning 1.2 billion years in the future. The sky is still bright. The sun still rises, but the light is different, harsher, sharper, filled with an energy no longer gentle. The first waves of that day will never return again, because at that very moment, Earth's oceans begin to evaporate. According to the evolutionary rules of stars, the sun, our mother star, continues to grow brighter as it ages. About 1.2 billion years from now, it will be 10% brighter than it is today, and that alone is enough to shatter the planet's fragile balance. As the sun's energy increases, Earth's temperature spikes. The surface grows hotter than 100 degrees Celsius. Water begins to boil in the lowlands. Seas, oceans, rivers, all evaporate, as if the planet were exhaling its final breath. No more clouds, no more winds carrying moisture. The atmosphere fills with water vapor, and that vapor is itself the beginning of the end, when water rises to the sky and never returns. At low altitudes, water vapor makes rain, but when the planet is too hot, water rises all the way to the stratosphere, where the sun's ultraviolet rays are strong enough to split water into two atoms, hydrogen and oxygen. Oxygen, being heavier, falls back down. Hydrogen, being lighter, drifts away, escaping into space. Each tiny molecule, each delicate atom, leaves the planet like threads of light, vanishing forever. Every droplet that evaporates is a memory lost. Every wave that dissipates shortens Earth's breath. No more water cycle, no more rain, no more oceans to reflect the sky. This phenomenon, the runaway greenhouse effect, is not a hypothesis. It has already happened to Earth's sister planet, Venus. Billions of years ago, Venus may have had seas and perhaps even rain. But as the sun grew hotter, water evaporated, hydrogen escaped into space. When all the water was gone, CO2 in the atmosphere increased and the greenhouse effect ran out of control. The result: Venus's surface is hotter than 460 degrees Celsius, enough to melt lead. Earth now is walking the same path. Within 200 million years, the planet's entire water supply, Vienas kablilis tris shimtai, 860 billion kilome, will disappear. The last oceans will evaporate, leaving behind vast fields of white salt upon the ground, like the dry bones of the sea. Then those salts react with minerals, turning a pale pink as halophilic microorganisms, creatures that love extreme salinity, produce carotenoid pigments to protect themselves from ultraviolet light. The entire planet slowly takes on hues of pink and red. Sunlight reflects off the dry salt crust, creating a magnificent spectacle, so beautiful it haunts. Earth has become the pink planet. Beneath that salt, in the fissures of crystals, one form of life remains. Extremophiles, creatures of the extreme, still strive to breathe, to feed, and to multiply. They need no oxygen, no light, and require only a few molecules of water trapped within salt crystals to survive. These organisms are like the planet's final memory of life, a faint whisper amid silence. Even when the surface reaches 224 degrees Celsius, they remain, hidden in the salt, living so slowly they are nearly motionless, and still breathing, albeit very, very slowly. When scientists found ancient bacteria in fossilized salt on present-day Earth, still alive after millions of years, they believed the same would occur in the distant future. Those tiny beings, the last keepers of the planet's heartbeat. Seen from space, Earth is no longer a blue jewel. It glows in shades of rosy orange, mixed with pale red, like a faint smear of lipstick in the cosmic dark. No more seas, no more clouds, only sunlight sliding over pink salt, a scene both uncanny and sorrowful. Future astronomers, in some other civilization, if they look through telescopes, will no longer see the blue planet, but only pink Earth, and then the final creatures, the tiny halophiles, will stop as well. Not because they have grown weaker, but because there is nothing left to breathe, to eat, to cling to. Surface temperatures rise to 224 degrees Celsius. The salt layer begins to flow, crystals melting like drops of glass. The entire planet becomes a glittering surface, so beautiful it chokes the observer, a crimson crystal amid endless night. This is the final moment of life on Earth. No more seas, no more trees, no more breath, only light. Yet even though the water has evaporated, its memory remains. In each grain of salt, in the rocks, and within the thinning atmosphere itself, water has departed, but it has not vanished. It drifts into space, splitting into hydrogen and oxygen, and then, over millions of years, those hydrogen particles will merge with stardust, joining a new cycle, perhaps in another planet, another ocean. For in the universe, nothing truly dies. There is only transformation, from liquid to gas, from vapor to star, and from star back to sea. If, by then, someone were standing far away, looking at this planet through the sun's light, they would hear nothing at all. But if they knew how to listen with the mind, perhaps they would sense, I was water, I was the sea, I was the rain falling upon the roofs of tiny creatures. I once carried life, and now I return to the light. This is Earth's farewell to the universe. Not sorrowful, only a silent greeting, for it knows that everything returns to where it began. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, imagine that each breath you release contains a droplet of water, a fragment of ancient ocean, a fragment of rain, and a fragment of the very life that has passed through billions of years. You are breathing the same air that one day will drift into space, becoming a tiny piece of that pink planet. And somewhere in the universe, another young star will gather them to give birth to a new planet, with new oceans, with new life. The oceans have left Earth, but they have not left the universe. They are merely changing form to continue telling the story of life. In another chapter of an endless book, imagine you are looking at Earth from afar, so far that the planet is only a faint streak of light floating in the black sea of space. Everything is still, no more waves, no more wind, only sunlight, still blazing, still sending out its last warm rays. But then, like every living thing in the universe, that star, too, begins to grow old. The sun, our mother star, has burned for 7 billion years. It was once stable, turning hydrogen into helium, keeping the blue planet in perfect balance around it. But within the core, the fuel runs out. Hydrogen is exhausted. Helium accumulates. Pressure drops, and gravity begins to prevail. The sun's core contracts. Its temperature spikes. To compensate, its outer layers swell, swelling by hundreds of times. That is the moment it becomes a red giant star. Red giant. From the current distance, the sun will grow so large as to engulf the orbits of Mercury and Venus and reach all the way to Earth itself. The sun's surface then will be deep red, like a sea of fire spreading across the sky. It will shine thousands of times brighter than it does now. Its diameter will increase by a factor of 200, and each ray of light will carry enough energy to melt iron, rock, and memory. If anyone still existed to observe it, the sky they would see would no longer be blue. All of space would be a blazing red mass, a colossal sun occupying half the sky, and Earth, if it still remained in its old orbit, would be slowly melting. Earth's surface, then, will reach temperatures above 2,500 degrees Celsius. Every mountain, every continent will begin to flow like liquid glass. There will be no distinction between sea and land, only an ocean of lava slowly moving in shades of red-orange. Every memory of life, forests, seas, cities, laughter, will dissolve in silence. No explosions, no screams, only light and melting. When humankind still existed, astronomers once thought Earth might escape this fate. As the sun swelled, it would gradually lose mass and gravity would weaken. They hoped the planet would drift outward, escaping the death zone. But when they recalculated, a frightening truth emerged. Earth and sun are connected not only by light, but by gravitational tides, an invisible cord between two colossal bodies. As the sun swells, that tidal force creates a massive wave within the plasma, and that wave pulls Earth back inward. Like a boat drawn into a whirlpool, our planet is dragged toward the sun, unable to resist. All hope of an orbital escape shattered. That moment, when the sun touches Earth, will not unfold with an explosion, but within the purest light the universe has ever known. Earth's surface will vaporize instantly. Its atmosphere will vanish. The molten iron core will rupture, and each atom will be torn apart into plasma. Within minutes, Earth will be swallowed whole. Nothing will remain, except streams of atoms swirling in the belly of the red star. If someone were observing from a faraway place, they would see only a flash of light, then it dissolving into the blazing surface. That is how 12 billion years of planetary history ends. No cries, no ashes, only light returning to light. Modern astronomers like Robert Smith, University of Sussex, have precisely simulated this moment. At first, they too believed that Earth might survive. But after accounting for tidal effects, the final conclusion was, no, Earth will be pulled in and melt within the sunday. When that happens, the star's outer layers will engulf the planet, and temperatures will reach over 2,500 degrees Celsius. Iron, nickel, silicon, all will melt and be dissolved in the sun's plasma. In the final instant, Earth will no longer be a planet, but become a part of the very star that gave birth to it. When Earth disappears, the sun will continue to expand for a time, then contract and become a white dwarf, a solitary bead of light in the universe. Earth, once the cradle of life, will be only atomic dust drifting around a dying star. But those atoms, carbon, iron, oxygen, phosphorus, will not be lost. They will drift into space, join with stardust, and one day gather to form another planet. Perhaps in some far corner of the Milky Way, from those atoms, a new star will be born, and around it, a planet will form again. There will be seas, there will be a sky, there will be beings who know how to love and to dream. And in that way, Earth will be reborn, not in shape, but in the material memory of itself. From stardust we came, and to stardust we return. Everything that ever existed on this planet, forests, oceans, music, language, and love, was made of the same thing, ancient light, condensed into life. And when the sun swallows Earth, that light only returns to where it began. There is no ending that is tragic, only transition. For even as Earth dissolves, the universe is still breathing, and life is still seeking its new form. If the planet could speak before it vanished, perhaps it would say, "I have no regrets. I was once green. I once knew how to sing, to love, and to look up at the sky. Now, I simply return to the light, to continue the journey of atoms that carry human memory." And now, when you take a deep breath, remember that in your lungs are atoms that once belonged to another star, perhaps from planets long gone, or from a star that disintegrated billions of years ago. You, in every sense, are the universe remembering itself. So do not fear the ending. Each breath you take is only a small part of the cycle of light that never stops. The universe loses nothing. It only transforms. Earth has returned to the Sunday. Light has returned to light. 12 billion years of life closed in peace. But within each atom of that stardust, the story continues. Another planet will arise. Another life will begin. And the sun, even extinguished, will still endure in the particles of light we breathe each night. Now, you close your eyes. Imagine you are drifting through space, where there is no direction, only a dim light, gentle as breath. Earth, the planet that was once green, that once had forests, had seas, had laughter, and had dreams. Now, all has dissolved into the sun, but not to disappear, only to return. When the sun swallows Earth, it does not destroy the atoms that once made life, but releases them. Hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, iron, all fly into space, scatter, mingle with stardust, like ashes falling in the cosmic wind. Those tiny grains, lighter than breath, will drift across millions of light years, meet other streams of gas, gather, and give birth to new stars, new planets, new oceans. There is one immutable law in the universe. Nothing truly dies. It only changes form. The atoms in your body were once part of a star that exploded billions of years ago. The molecules in the water you drink have flowed through millions of generations of living things. And those atoms, one day, will fly off again, becoming light or life somewhere else. Dust to dust. Not a farewell, but a promise to meet again. Earth's death is only a low note in the cosmic symphony, a quiet melody preparing for the next prelude. For life is not destroyed. It cycles. It returns to its most primordial form, and from there is reborn. Perhaps in another galaxy, the atoms that once belonged to Earth are forming a new ocean where the first living being is opening its eyes and seeing the sky. They will not know that a part of them was once us, but the universe knows, and it is still telling that story through the light of the stars. Earth's death is not a tragedy, but the final chapter written since the beginning. It is embedded in the structure of geology, in the orbits of planets, and in the very light of the Sunday. From the first moment of its formation, Earth carried within it the seed of its end, but that very seed also held the promise of rebirth, because every ending in the universe is only the beginning of another form of life. If you listen closely, you may hear a very small voice rising from the void. I do not disappear. I only change form. I was earth, and now I am the sky, the star, the light in the eyes of creatures not yet born. That is the voice of the eternal cycle, the sound that the universe continues to hum, through stardust, through gravitational waves, through every breath you take. Now, you may close your eyes. Everything Earth, the sun, you, and I, is breathing together in that rhythm. There is no longer a distance between life and death, only the movement of energy. Let your mind drift, like a planet along its orbit, like stardust through space. There is nothing left you need to hold on to, for in this universe, there is no loss, only return. This skins, they have two there, the rest tring and contones. The death of Earth has been written in its geology and in the stars of the sky. But within those very stars, Earth is beginning to write its new chapter.